In February 1981, a dusty village in Uttar Pradesh became the stage for a calculated act of vengeance. 22 men from a dominant upper caste community were lined up against a wall and executed. The mastermind behind this massacre was an 18-year-old girl. She stood barely 5 feet tall, weighed 90 pounds, and was born into the lowest tier of Indian society. Her name was Phoolan Devi. The Indian government classified her as a cold-blooded terrorist with a massive bounty on her head. But to millions of the rural poor, she was a living goddess who fought back against centuries of systemic abuse. Her life was a geographic war for ownership in a system where the law treated lower caste human beings as physical property. To see how she rose, we have to look at the power dynamics of rural India in the 1960s and 70s. The caste system operated as an agrarian monopoly, where upper caste landlords held absolute ownership over all local resources and territory. In this environment, lower caste families did not own land. They were tied to it. At 11 years old, Phoolan's parents traded her into an abusive marriage with a man 3 times her age for a cow and a few rupees. When she rebelled against the abuse and sought help from local authorities, she faced severe police brutality. Ultimately, her own village banished her. In a society defined by a strict land monopoly, an outcast stripped of all legal and physical territory is effectively given a death sentence. Phoolan fled into the deep ravines of the Chambal Valley. This was an ungovernable sanctuary, a maze of rugged earth where state control ended and outlaws thrived. She joined a gang of bandits and mastered the use of firearms. In these badlands, she realized the barrel of a gun could override the traditional male-dominated hierarchy of the dacoit world. Phoolan co-led her faction, raiding upper caste estates and funneling the wealth directly back to impoverished villages. In return, the peasants became a human intelligence network. They alerted her gang to threats, making it impossible for police ambushes to surprise her. By controlling the local economy, Phoolan engineered an impenetrable territory where she acted as the primary governing authority. Her control was broken when a rival upper caste gang betrayed her. They captured her and dragged her back to the village of Behmai. For 16 days, she endured horrific torture. Her captors sought to break her spirit, using violence to re-establish their physical dominance over her. They left her for dead, but she escaped back into the ravines. She reassembled her loyal guerrilla forces and plotted her return to Behmai. On February 14, 1981, she executed the men who had tormented her. The massacre proved that the rural power structure was vulnerable. It broke the assumption that upper caste authority was absolute and untouchable. The massacre prompted the state government to launch a massive manhunt. Thousands of police and paramilitary units were deployed across state lines to seal the borders of the Chambal Valley. Phoolan recognized that even the ravines could not protect her forever against the full scale of a national military mobilization. In 1983, she negotiated a cinematic surrender. She refused to yield to the police, instead laying her rifle down before portraits of Goddess Durga and Mahatma Gandhi in front of thousands of supporters. Even in the act of yielding, she dictated the terms. She approached her surrender as a formal treaty between a sovereign leader and the state, ensuring her legacy remained one of defiance. After spending 11 years in prison without a trial, Phoolan was released. In a final shift in power, she was elected to the Indian Parliament twice. Her presence in Parliament marked a final territorial conquest. A woman once legally barred from owning land now occupied the highest estate of systemic power in the nation. An assassin's bullet ended her life in 2001, but the act could not erase her victory or her status as a symbol of resistance. Phoolan Devi demonstrated that when a system refuses to grant you a place in the world, survival means carving out your own territory and compelling the state to recognize your borders.